My husband and I met when I had just graduated high school. We were really, really, really young. We decided that we wanted to have a family. We have 5 kids. We have our oldest, that's 6. We have our 4-year-old, our 2 babies that are gonna be 3 soon, and we have our 6-month-old baby. You always think like, oh, I might get rejected, I'm not good enough for it, or because I don't have a partner of the opposite sex, I'm not gonna be able to meet that. And I feel like that's where a lot of us lead to. But the real truth is, like my family has always taught me, you have a goal, you have a mission, you can accomplish it. So once we started getting like that baby fever that we wanted to grow a family, we started looking into what is it that we need to do. We did it, and now we're here. And I feel like that's when you don't give up on what you really, really want. For me, the most important thing now is my kids. You are looked at different. You don't have the same equal opportunities. In a Latino church, they don't really accept gay. Or, even at school with my kids, they always assume like, oh, where's the mom? When your kids hear that, we never want your kids to feel also any different because they're in a different family. It should never be different, the fact that, someone has 2 dads or 2 moms, or just 1 mom or just 1 dad.
I've always known that I was trans ever since I was like little. The earliest memory that I have since I was a little kid is every year on my birthday cook, wishing that I would wake up as a girl the next day. When I came out to my mom, I was 15, and she was super supportive and understanding and loving, and I was surprised because coming from like a very Mexican background isn't as accepting or as understanding for trans people or LGBT people. And I remember I was really scared coming out to my family. I transitioned when I was 15, and at the time my mom was a single mom, and my uncle, he was the closest father figure. We were at the dining table, and I was like, I need to talk to you, Tío. I need to tell you something. And I told him that who I was, and that I wanted to be a girl, and I wanted to be me, the real me. He took a pause, and then he gets up and he gives me the biggest hug, and he just looks at me and he says like, okay, great. And he tells me, so what are we gonna call you? And instantly, without like skipping a beat, he goes, Josielyn. And in that moment, that was who I was meant to be. And a few years after that, he passed away. And I remember I felt like the last thing that he gave me was my name, and to be myself. And I never thought that he would be so open and understanding and loving, and to love me the way that I was. I will forever love him, and I will forever have him in my heart, and I will forever have him with me because I'm Josielyn, and it's something that no one will ever take away from me.
I got my start as a singer really in the public eye when I auditioned for American Idol. I was 16 years old, and I really did it because my dad wanted me to, more than anything. It really launched me in front of everybody. There was like 30 million people watching every week. I was there with like Katy Perry and Lady Gaga and Rihanna and Chris Brown, and I was just like Kanye West. And I was like on the same lineup as them, and they were coming up and saying hi to me, and I was like, what is going on? Like just earlier that year, I was still a junior in high school. No one knew who I was. So my queer identity has been a journey. Unlike my Latin roots, because Latin roots I knew of since I was born, basically from the womb. Whereas with my queer identity, it's been a process to understand what that even meant for me, that I was queer. When I finally decided, I'm gonna start dating guys, the first person I called, when I finally decided it's okay to do that, was my mom. And I said, Mom, just so you know, I'm gonna start dating guys. I had just broken off my engagement just a couple weeks prior. My mom said, honey, I love you, but I love God more, and I can't accept this about you. I testify to you that God's plan for you is to marry a woman and to have a family, and that is his plan for happiness. I said, Mom, up until a week ago, I believed all of this that you're saying. I get where you're coming from, but I got to a point where I almost took my life because I was believing that. I know that you don't agree with that, and I don't need you to accept my decision. I just need you to respect that I'm making the best decision for me right now. I'm no longer in this place of self-deprecation that I was before coming out. And in this time where I was always, a lot of my music was about shame on me, I need to try harder, I can't get out of this hole that I feel like I'm in. I didn't realize I was writing a lot about the anxieties I felt by having to hide my queerness and this secret inside of me.
Dancing has always been my passion. I don't think there's anything else that I do that I'm passionate about. Is my outlet. It was my outlet when I was going through a lot of personal things, you know, in school, being bullied all the time. It was just my outlet. It was my source of freedom. I just remember, like, you know, being afraid to just stand up for myself, you know, because I was always such a delicate individual that there would be times I would be walking to school with my mom and there was slur stuff across the street. And my mom, you know, she rarely knew English at the time. So, you know, she said what she would know. And, you know, she would say, like, Chris is back. And she was like, you know, she would say certain things. But, you know, it was very tough, especially in elementary school. You know, you're like, this is a moment in time in your life where you're supposed to be, like, enjoying school and enjoying yourself, you know? But it wasn't like that for me. Sorry.